I just ran CyberGhost through every test I could think of, and two things happened that I wasn't expecting. First, the ad blocking absolutely destroyed the competition. We're talking 99% efficiency, and that's better than almost every premium VPN I've tested. It even beats a lot of dedicated ad blockers. But here's the kicker. The malware blocking, complete failure. Didn't stop a single test file, not one. And that's just scratching the surface. I found some serious speed problems on distant servers, upload speeds tanked, but the streaming servers, they worked flawlessly on almost everything except Disney+. So is CyberGhost worth it when it gets some things incredibly right and others completely wrong? Well, let's find out. So let's start with the features. What can CyberGhost actually do for you? First up is their specialized servers. Now, I know this sounds a lot like marketing BS, but I actually tested them, and the results were surprisingly good. And here's what I did. First, I connected to the Frankfurt gaming server, got 34 milliseconds of ping, and that's impressive for that distance. Then I connected to a regular server in Berlin, and since I'm in Cyprus, these two servers are about the same distance away, but now the ping went up to 60 milliseconds, so their claims about optimized gaming servers, they actually do hold up. The streaming servers work in the same way, so we have dedicated options for Netflix, HBO Max, Hulu, basically every major platform you can think of. Now, let me show you the smart rules, and this is one of the best automation systems I've seen in any VPN, right? I can set CyberGhost to automatically connect when I launch specific apps, connect to certain Wi-Fi networks, or even tell it to ask me what to do in different situations. So I set it up to automatically connect whenever I join a public Wi-Fi, like so, and it's super easy to do, as you can see. And it worked flawlessly every single time. Now, there's also something what CyberGhost called exceptions and app rules, and this is basically CyberGhost's version of split tunneling, but split into URLs and apps. To set up the exceptions, basically, I just add websites I want to exclude from the VPN tunnel like this, and it handles the rest. It is super intuitive. The app rules are just as simple. Just click on the Choose App button like this and choose an application that you want to force through the VPN tunnel. And here's where CyberGhost really blew me away. The ad blocking. I ran it through two different testing sites. First test, it blocked 126 out of 135 ads. The second test, 99% efficiency. And that's better than pretty much every other VPN ad blocker I've tested. And hell, it even beats most dedicated ad blockers out there. Now, before I continue, if this kind of real-world VPN testing helps you make better decisions, hit that subscribe button. I test dozens of VPNs every month, so you don't have to waste money on the wrong one. And with that little bit of self-promotion done, let's move on. So, no spy servers are another unique feature I quite like, and these are servers that CyberGhost fully owns. They operate them in their own data center inside the company's headquarters in Romania. Now, the idea is obviously controlling the physical hardware to eliminate a lot of the risks. But the downside, all no-spy servers give you a Romanian IP address, so you can't use them to access content that's geo-restricted to other countries. But if raw security is your priority and you don't care about location spoofing, then these are pretty solid. Now, simultaneous connections. CyberGhost might disappoint you here. It only supports 7. Comparing it to other big VPNs like NordVPN and ExpressVPN, which give you basically 10, Surfshark has basically no connection limit at all. But here's the workaround. Install CyberGhost on your router. Suddenly, all your devices are protected with just one connection slot. They've also got native apps for Windows, macOS, Linux, Android, iOS, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, so pretty much every kind of device out there. CyberGhost also offers browser extensions for Chrome and Firefox. Take a look at the server list here, And you might notice the same thing I did. The extensions have a limited server selection compared to the proper VPN client. But I did notice something really cool. It didn't count against the number of connections on my account. Pretty neat, right? And finally, the dedicated IP option. It comes at an additional cost, but it's actually limited pretty cleverly. So CyberGhost uses a token-based system that keeps you truly anonymous. Even they don't know which dedicated IP belongs to which user. And this is useful if you're accessing services like online banking, for example. Services that freak out when your IP address changes, and they will block you, and you cannot access them when you're on holiday. So that is true mess, which is mitigated through this feature. So how easy is CyberGhost to use? If you're new to VPN, CyberGhost is a pretty great option. When I installed it on Windows and Mac, the whole process was pretty straightforward. You just run the installer, you log in, hit the connection button, and you're protected. It's pretty simple as that. The interface looks modern. It looks well organized, and let me give you a tour. It starts in this collapsed quick access view, right? But if you click this big expand button, it gives you the full app interface. And this is the view I prefer, but if you're more of a minimalist, you might want to stick to the quick access one. Now, let me show you some of the settings. If you're like most users, you probably won't need to adjust most of these, but there's a couple you want to look at right away. And these are privacy settings and smart rules. If you look here, you'll see that they're separated into the main view. And the more technical stuff is all accessed through this gear icon over here. And here you'll find a few different sections. General settings, stuff like the theme, the language, general app behavior. And then there's these VPN settings where you can adjust some of the more technical stuff like protocols and even port selection. The server selection is also pretty easy, and this sidebar here splits the servers into a few different categories. And this lets me scroll through the list of countries only to see like the specialized servers I mentioned at the beginning. It's also possible, and I can also search for specific locations and even tag my favorite servers for easy access like so. And I can also just let CyberGhost automatically connect me to the best server if I use this button over here. One detail here that I really like is that each server on the list also says how far away the server is from your location. It's perfect for those who are, let's say, geographically challenged. And if I'm already connected, and what happens if I want to switch a server? Well, CyberGhost shows me this helpful prompt. It warns that switching can cause a temporary drop in connection, which could expose, obviously, my traffic. I actually love that they include this warning, and most VPNs don't really tell you about this risk. Now, the mobile apps are basically slimmed down versions of the desktop experience. I tested both the Android and the iOS app. Just like on desktop, I can create Wi-Fi protection rules that automatically connect when I join unsecure networks. Now, I gotta note that there are some notable differences between Android and iOS. Android includes a proper split tunneling app, which is great. The iOS app gets more limited smart rules, and there's no split tunneling or app launch triggers, but you do still get basic Wi-Fi protection settings, so that's something. And this is pretty standard for VPNs, and it's mostly Apple's fault for having much stricter restrictions on what app developers can actually do. Okay, how secure and private is CyberGhost really? Let me start with the good news. When I fired up Wireshark to verify the encryption, CyberGhost passed with flying colors. And here's what I saw. As you can see here, the connections showed fully encrypted tunnels. 0 leaks. I tested multiple servers, and every single time the stream revealed completely encrypted data. So my real IP address was always hidden. But hiding my IP is essentially just half the battle. I also tested it for leaks because a leaky VPN is about as useful as a leaky bucket. I ran DNS leak tests. Clean. WebRTC leak tests. Clean. The encryption is rock solid, so there's no question about it. CyberGhost offers 3 protocols: OpenVPN, WireGuard, and IKEV v2, or IKE v2. No proprietary protocols here, it's just proven industry standard options. All 3 are available on both Windows and on Mac. You just get IKE v2 and WireGuard, but if you're on Linux, you can use OpenVPN and WireGuard. On mobile, IKE v2 is unavailable on Android, which is a bit odd, but WireGuard and OpenVPN both work great anyway. And on iOS, well, IKE v2 and WireGuard are options, but not OpenVPN. So the kill switch worked exactly as advertised. Let me walk you through how I tested it. I created a Windows firewall rule to interrupt the connection. As you can see here, CyberGhost immediately disconnected me from the internet. The kill switch is also turned on by default, which is the right call for security in my book. I also tested split tunneling using Wireshark, and let me show you here what I did. I added a specific URL to exclude it from the VPN tunnel. The traffic routing worked exactly as expected, and you can clearly see that while most of the traffic here is going through the VPN tunnel, the packets going to the URL I excluded pretty much aren't. Now, so far so good, but here's where things get a little bit rough. The malware blocking completely failed. I tested it using both ycar.org and the AMTSO phishing test site. CyberGhost didn't block a single malicious site. Not one single site. When I tried to download the iCar test virus file, well, it failed to detect it. And to be honest, this is a little bit concerning. Other VPNs like NordVPN successfully block these test sites with their threat protection features, and CyberGhost's ad blocking works phenomenally well. The malware protection, well, it's basically useless, and it might turn into something like a false sense of security that you might get by actually using it. And if malware blocking is important to you, you'll definitely need a separate antivirus software. CyberGhost's content blocker isn't really protecting you from malicious sites, period. Now, let me talk about the logging policy real quick. CyberGhost claims they don't log your browsing history, downloads, DNS queries, or connection timestamps that could identify you. And when you first sign up, you see a page that explains they do not keep or use your personal data. And this is what we call a no logs policy. And it's a cornerstone of any solid VPN. And when you use the app, they collect your country-level location, not your specific IP or city. Just which country you're in, basically. They log connection events, like whether your connection attempt succeeded or failed, but these are anonymized and only used for network performance improvements. Here's the part that makes some people nervous. CyberGhost shares VPN usage data with its parent company, Cape Technologies, and the various brands Cape controls. So this includes other major VPNs like ExpressVPN and Private Internet Access, but also security software like Intego. That said, being based in Romania means CyberGhost has no legal obligation to keep activity logs. They also publish quarterly transparency reports, and these show they receive dozens of police requests every single year, and they've never given up user information. Why? Well, because they don't have any to give. And that's a pretty strong real-world test scenario of their no-logs claims. Deloitte audited CyberGhost privacy systems in both 2022 and 2024, and they verified that CyberGhost actually follows through on their no-logs promises. Ideally, I'd like to see more frequent third-party audits, but this one is already pretty solid. Okay, so how fast is CyberGhost really? I'll try to keep this really simple, but bear with me. The speed results are I would say a bit all over the place. My baseline connection without a VPN, 293 megabits down and 94 megabits up and 2 milliseconds of latency. Well, pretty fast internet, decent. I can game with it, I can stream with it. It's enough, right? But when I connected to a nearby server, speeds dropped to 278 megabits for download and 89 megabits for upload. The latency jumped up to 10 milliseconds, and that's really solid performance for a nearby connection. You're looking at about a 5% speed loss, which is excellent. But here's where things got a little bit weird. When I tested a distant server, download speeds fell to 259 megabits per second. It's still respectable, right? Now, the upload speeds, though, they tanked to just 9 megabits per second, and the latency shot up to 117 milliseconds. Now, if you're uploading large files to cloud storage, or you're streaming your gameplay even, distant servers are going to give you a really rough time, and it's probably not going to work out. The inconsistency is a real problem here. Sometimes CyberGhost delivers fantastic speeds that rival NordVPN, one of the fastest VPNs around, and like other times, especially on certain European servers I tested, speeds were like all over the place. Some gave me really great performance. With others, upload speeds dropped below 3 megabits per second and the ping shot above 40 milliseconds. And geographically, they were really not that far away. It's a little bit like playing server roulette, which I don't really like when I'm using a VPN. Before I continue, I want to tell you about our newsletter real quick. We do a lot of testing here at CloudWords, including daily speed tests of all the major VPNs out there. And signing up to our newsletter is basically the best way to stay up to date on all the latest test results and tech news. I'll drop a link in the description so you can check it out if you're interested in all the little details and stories that don't make it into these videos. All right, for streaming, the speeds were essentially more than sufficient as long as I picked the right server. I tested every major streaming service out there. I'm talking Netflix, I'm talking Amazon Prime Video, Hulu, HBO Max, Paramount Plus, and more. For my test, I used CyberGhost dedicated streaming servers. There was zero lag or buffering. Everything played in the best available quality. Even when I skipped back and forth through the content, the streams stayed really smooth and there were no weird buffering issues. I did run into some trouble with BBC iPlayer initially. It detected the VPN and, well, it obviously blocked me, right? Which I found a little surprising, but when I switched to a different UK server marked specifically for iPlayer, well, I got right into it. And Disney Plus was the only service that completely refused to work. Its VPN detection is apparently incredibly aggressive. A lot of VPNs fail here, so this isn't really exclusive to CyberGhost only. YouTube worked perfectly for geo-restricted content. I was able to access US-only videos without any issues, and the dedicated streaming servers are clearly doing something right. The regular servers often get flagged by these services, but the optimized ones worked almost every single time. Okay, and torrenting performance was also solid, right? Regular servers support peer-to-peer traffic, but the dedicated peer-to-peer servers gave me much better speeds. I hit 30 megabytes per second on a nearby peer-to-peer server versus 20 megabytes per second on a regular server. And the peer-to-peer servers were also a lot more stable with fewer random disconnections. Gaming on the specialized gaming servers delivered real low latency, which is exactly what you want. That 34 millisecond ping I mentioned earlier makes competitive gaming totally viable on nearby gaming servers. Just a quick caveat here. These gaming servers are not available on Mac. I'm guessing because very few people game on Mac OS anyway. So the other specialized servers are still there though. It's a bit odd, but that's what you have to live with if you're on Mac OS, I guess. Okay, how much does CyberGhost cost, and is the pricing actually any good when you compare it to the bigger VPN landscape? And here's where CyberGhost becomes really appealing. Just $2.19 per month for their 2-year plan, and this is one of the most affordable VPNs you can buy. Compare that to other major players like ExpressVPN or NordVPN. Both will cost you about like $3.50 per month, even at the cheapest tier, and doesn't sound like the biggest difference, but really it adds up over time. Now, there's also a 1-month plan, but at $2.99 per month, it's definitely not worth it. You should basically choose the 6-month or the 2-year options. And most all of the VPN players do this, right? They price the monthly plan incredibly high, so it's really not worth it to pick it. And you really have to think twice whether you just want to sign up for 1 month for VPN, because you pay a premium if you want to have the monthly cancellation option. And really, if I were you, I would just bite the bullet and sign up for 2 years, because you're getting a solid VPN and you save also some good money with it, right? The 6-month plan costs $6.99 per month, but like I already said, the 2-year plan is where you get the real value, $2.19 per month, and it also includes 2 extra months for free. So in reality, you're getting like 26 months of service. Now, every plan includes access to all features. There's no tiered pricing structure where you have to pay extra for advanced security options. The dedicated IP address does cost extra if you want it. The price depends a little bit on the length of your plan, but it starts at $2.50 per month, more or less. The money-back guarantee depends on which plan you choose. Longer plans get 45 days to request a refund. The 1-month plan only gets 14 days. So if you think CyberGhost seems like a good deal for you, I've got the best deal for CyberGhost linked in the description box below, and I keep these links updated with the latest promotions and custom discounts we negotiate specifically for our viewers. And after years in this space, we've built relationships that let us secure better deals than you'll find elsewhere. And you support the channel, so thank you very much. All right. Let me wrap up by talking about who should actually use CyberGhost and when you should probably look elsewhere. If you're a beginner who just wants a user-friendly and simple-to-use VPN, CyberGhost is perfect, right? It doesn't require any technical knowledge to set up and use. The interface is intuitive. The settings are well explained. The automation features mean you can mostly set it and forget it. The dedicated streaming servers, they do work really well for most platforms, for most major platforms, except, well, the problems with Disney Plus that we've mentioned. So if that's a streaming platform of choice, well, you may want to look elsewhere to NordVPN, for example, which I'll also link you in the description box below. CyberGhost is also pretty affordable, making it ideal if you are on a budget. And if you need specialized servers for gaming and torrenting, well, CyberGhost actually delivers on those promises with much better performance on their optimized servers. But where does CyberGhost fall short? Now, if speed consistency is your top priority, you'll probably be happier with NordVPN or even Surfshark. And if you're a power user like me who needs features like a more granular kill switch or more advanced split tunneling options, well, again, look at NordVPN instead. Their feature set goes way, way deeper. And if you absolutely need unlimited simultaneous connections to share with family or protect a ton of devices, well, Surfshark is the obvious choice. The malware blocking failure is also a deal breaker if you were counting on your VPN to provide comprehensive security. That said, most people don't really need any more antivirus protection than Windows Defender and a bit of common sense, so it's not the biggest loss. And actually, I kind of find it problematic that a lot of the VPN providers try to be everything these days. They want to be a password manager, a cloud storage service, a antivirus company, so please decide what you want to be and do that thing really well, and then I, as a reviewer, am pretty happy, right? The bottom line. CyberGhost is a solid mid-range VPN that punches above its weight for the price, in my opinion. It's obviously not perfect, but for most everyday users who want good streaming access and strong privacy protections, well, CyberGhost delivers excellent value. Well, and also drop a comment below and let me know if you have any questions about CyberGhost or if there's any other VPN you'd like me to review next. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.